Hey there, Stephanie Joy with all things Social Security and the law practice of Joy Disability. Here's a short little segment from our recent live stream Q&A that we have every Wednesday at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on the YouTube channel, All Things Social Security. Enjoy, and if you have any questions, leave them down below in the comments, and I will be sure to get to them. Thanks so much. Bye-bye now.
Hey guys, how is everybody? Shiloh, I see you are here bright and early with 5 million questions. We'll see. We'll get through them, but we'll probably jump around because I don't want to make everyone else not be heard. Are you? Dimple's in the house. Dimple says yes, she can hear us. Okay, good. Guys, you know Shannon Justice of Justice Disability. Shannon's in Kentucky, right? And Shannon, do you see the postings part? The
comments, yeah, I see them.
Yeah. I mean, if you want to put your website in there, so if anyone wanted to reach out to you, feel free. You know, you could just type it right in there. It'll come up on the page. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, it'll let me.
Okay. Anyway, so Shannon's been here before a couple times. So we're gonna share your questions, and you can see maybe a couple different perspectives and stuff like that. All right, so let's go back up to the start. I'm going to start with Virginia Gomez is in the house. Haven't seen you in a while, Virginia. Have I? A few weeks? Good morning, Chica. May God bless you. I hope so. Thank you. Your medical sources have 30 days to respond to our requests. I didn't get it in the first case, but second case is asking why. Why not ask me in the first case? Are you saying that you didn't know that rule? They didn't share that rule, the 30-day? That's a HIPAA rule, actually. That's not really an SSA rule. What they typically do, I found, and they had told me that this is what their process was, SSA. Send a request. If they don't get back in 20 days, send a second request. I think that's the way they make sure, they cover their butt by saying, what if they didn't get the first one? And then the person's already, now it's 30 days in or whatever by the time. And then they just write off the provider is not going to provide. And ideally, they would send a letter telling you that. So why not ask me in the first case? What are they asking you? Are they asking you to follow up with your providers? That's probably what that letter has. I've seen those letters. And those are good, particularly for pro se people. It's good for the representatives too, because we can't be checking every electronic file of every client every day to go through a needle in a haystack to see if you got something new. Rather, it would be nice if we get the notice that something's up in that file, right? On their side of it. I was always saying, Shanna, like with technology now, you know how they text us a one-time passcode to get into the ERE every time we want to go in. And so they know how to text us. Why do they not have an automated texting system that says something new in the file on last four of social 1234? So the person's identity is
like that.
Oh my gosh, it would be so great. And it's got to be something actually changing in the ERE we can see, not any of that, the part they don't show us.
Yeah.
But even that would be better than nothing. Yeah, because then it could alert me. I don't have to sit there and hope that the mail gets to me, or one of our periodic automatic check-ins to ERE, which are not every day, because we can't do that every day. Or else, again, we would not be working on big things for our clients, like doing those function reports with them or whatever. The technology's there. It would save them so much mail, because if it could be where the attorney, like they text the attorney or the rep, right, the representative, about the fact that there's something in the file, and then they give it 5 days. And if their system sees that the representative went into that file, they don't have to mail that letter out. I in my last week's live stream, Shanna, I think it was in the live stream, I was describing how I got, and I showed the envelope. I got this big, huge manila envelope. Inside it was one sheet of paper and a return big envelope. And it was a very routine letter that I don't even have to do anything about. It's like maybe a barcode page, which I don't even need a barcode because I upload things to the ERE. And I thought, and I looked at so all this paper, right, for a big envelope for one, the cost of mailing that was $1.90.
That's what I was going to say. If Social Security stops mailing out paper, I'd hate to see what a stamp would be for the rest of us, because that's about the only thing that's going through anymore.
Will be like way up here.
Yeah.
It is insane. And if they just had a system where, all right, we text you. Now, granted, text can fail. And that's why I say if they don't see that you went into the file within 5 days, then mail the attorney the letter. And maybe mail the client regardless, probably is best. Unless they do the same thing for them. They text them stuff. I just think the technology is there. It already exists. They're already using it for the one thing. Expand that, Whether you want to call that AI or not. AI has been in the SSA for years. I call it automation. But anyway, yeah, for sure. Like, oh my God, they would be, that was $2, $1.90 just for the stamp. That doesn't even include the cost of the labor that stuffed the envelope, took it out of the printer, the printing ink. It doesn't, the mail room could be 1/10 the size. You know what I mean? It's like, come on, just let me in there and let me fix your rules for you.
I get a stack of those
They've done
every
one
other day.
It's like insane. And I was saying before, I don't know if it's still true now because now I don't pay attention. But many years ago, like 15 years ago, or maybe even 20, New Jersey, which was my heavy back then. Now I'm a little bit more moderate. I feel like I'm heaviest in California, believe it or not. Like California and PA. I don't know why. Californians and I just get along so good. Every case I had at the DDS in New Jersey, I would get in duplicate 2 different envelopes with the exact same thing in it for every single client. It was annoying. And I sent a message to the DDS or the SSA or whatever method I used that was available back then, and said, "You keep sending double stuff. I'm like, it's so wasteful. What are you doing? You know, can you get this up the pike so it stops?" Never, of course, got a response, and it never stopped. I assume it's still going on. Again, I don't like read the duplicates now, so isn't that crazy? It's like crazy.
They do. They waste a lot of paper.
Yeah, and all the other expense that goes into it, labor, and stamps. Umo's in the house. Hi, Umo. Hello, all. Has anyone ever experienced where a doctor has lied on the CE information submitted to SSA? I think you mean the report. Like he said something that's false. Kind of like what we were talking about before, maybe. I have seen it before.
Yeah, I have too.
Yeah. So when I talk to my clients about that, I go, now look at this report and you tell me if there's something factually wrong. Not his conclusion. That's not your business. That's not what we have clout with. Did the facts that he specified was anything? And you don't want to say he lied, like not when you do a rebuttal. Be like, he had false information in there that was untrue. So his premises that gave him to his conclusion was flawed, judge or whatever. So I'll say like, and the whole thing about like, when he said can tie buttons, tie shoes, button shirts, do zippers, or they say was able to get on and off the operating table, the examining table without assistance or without difficulty. And you say, but he wasn't even in the room. I was by myself and I struggled and I got on and he just came in and I was up there. So that I think is an unsubstantiated statement. So I always ask them to look at stuff like that because that's wrong. It's wrong. And it's meant to show that you're that physically able when maybe you're not. Be nice to that printer. Sorry. I got a person in here using the printer. Get back to work. Sloth. Just kidding. The printer's acting up, I think. I think it's offline or something. It was sent that to me yesterday. So I'm going to have to, I think I probably have to turn it on, turn it off. That's what seems to be like, let the printer reboot. I have a big, huge laser printer. Very expensive ink, but you don't have to change the ink and nowadays almost never since we do so much electronically. Printing 20 years ago, Shanna, it would bankrupt me. Like, it was a real struggle because the ink was so expensive. It's better times. It is great times to be a Social Security disability representative, I think. Do you agree?
I do.
Yeah.
Glad I looked into it and finding it.
Yeah. Ricardo says it's an old mess. Yes. If you're talking about the SSA, the old processes, they're getting adjusted, but it takes time, KU Thunder says, hello, Shauna.
Hi.
JC says, if one goes back to work, what's the best way to report earnings? 800 number, field office. What do you think, Shanna?
Trial to work programs. It's got its own problems. Go ahead. Then you don't need to report it. But if you are going to go over and do the trial to work, then I guess I'm not sure how you report that actually.
I will. This is the way I would be my take on it. I like everything to be in writing, so you have proof that we got it. No matter what income you're earning, unless it's like hobby work and it's definitely under SGA and it's under 10 hours a week or something. I mean, hobby work though, which means kind of sporadic, not like regular hobby of 10 hours a week. That's really more of a job. I would report it, particularly if it's self-employed, because we're so able to fudge our numbers. I mean, Shannon and I are not, even though we're self-employed, because they give us a 1099. But for people that are not 1099s, that kind of work, I would report it so you cannot be accused of hiding activity that's bringing in income. And you probably send you an 820 or an 821. And so great, just fill it out and send it back and it's going to be fine. I agree with Shannon. If you can stay below trial work period amount, that's ideal, because then the work you're doing, they can't deny you on the basis of that activity because you're under TWP and you're still in your TWP period. Once you're out of your period, it doesn't matter if you're below TWP, then they can use that. So if you're always staying within your TWP and it never expires, because if you don't use TWP months up and you certainly don't use 9 in a 5-year rolling window, you're never going to pop out of your trial work period. And you got that protection. Doesn't protect you from other things like a regular CDR or something, but it protects you from the basis of your work being too arduous. I would probably report it to my field office, yes, but I would do it where I have proof that I sent it in, like certified return receipt. Or now, if you have, you can get into your Social Security account or whatever. You can upload documents there still. Can you upload that? I would find out. And if you're not sure, then I would do both. But I would always make sure, I would fax it and have a fax confirmation, and I'd probably send it certified mail to have the green card. Sounds like a pain. And it would just be to notify them of the fact that you're doing it. And if you say, I'm making $600 a month, or 1,000, which is still under TWP, it's with an employer, and I don't expect this amount to change. I don't think you have to keep reporting it every month. And what do you think of this? I have my opinion on this. Can you request SSA to periodically do work reviews, even if earnings stay below TWP? What do you think, Shannon? You think they're going to go ahead and expend resources on that? Yeah.
Anything more than they have to. So.
Yeah. I mean, there's no resources to do favors. I mean, it's all about meeting the law and the requirements of CDRs and stuff, not to share those workers for free, for someone else to do a work review. I do know that you can get consultation on work review to have someone professional review what you're doing, what you're making, and how it all interweaves with SSA to see if it's safe, if there's something safer, the level of risk, all that. That's a paid consultation, but they're probably available. I know I do them, and maybe Shannon does. I don't know.
That's
outside of representation. Ricardo makes an excellent point. If you do the work consistently, you will get positive results. That's exactly it. That's exactly it, Ricardo. And tweak it when it needs to be tweaked, because the world is changing. SSA rules change. SSA technologies change. When that changes, you got to kind of tweak to go with it, to know it and to use it and to make sure your processes align really well with it. That's probably what helped me the most when I started out totally by myself without a single SSD client. Just made the switch. I did cold turkey. I was really in tune and wanting to use the technologies that SSA uses and get everything copacetic in that way. And plus, being a solo, you have to streamline things to make them work best. And I didn't have like a fat, cushy company behind me that all I have to do is like think about SSD law cases and not think about how clients get me in for, like, I didn't have to think about anything efficient if I was working for somebody else. Then you're just like the hired help. But when you're running it and doing it yourself, you need it to be efficient, and you need it to be the way it's going to get the best results for the clients in the biggest numbers, of course. That sound about right?
Yeah. Fastest, easiest, and most efficient way to get the best results.
And you had a great perspective because you came from doing it from a firm. Like, you were their SSD, and then you found that was very lacking, and you're like, I got to go on my own so I can do it a better way. Is that what happened?
I actually started out as a paralegal in a law office, and then just found out that I could do it, and then got interested in it and started learning about it. Never really thought I'd do much with it, because back when I first fell into it, the cases were taking so long. So it was just impossible to make any money at it. And have your own business doing it. So I was doing it for a law office that I was working as a paralegal also for a while, and then was doing some of these cases on the side, just as side work, and I started taking cases in 2016. It was 2019 before any of them made any money from them. So there's no way that I could have done that. But COVID allowed the processes to move faster and the cases to move more quickly, and allowed me to be able to, in 2022, quit the law office and just do straight Social Security.
That's awesome. And did you look at the way they did it and go, I'm going to do it differently? Like, there's something.
Well, at the last office I was doing them, it was me. It was me.
But were you constrained by their budget for you or anything like that? Like,
no, it was basically they weren't going to do those cases. But the fact that I knew how to do them, if I wanted to do them, I could do them through them.
Well, then they make the fee, and then you just get your salary.
Yeah. Well, there was an arrangement, but that didn't work out.
And then you're like, I'm out of here. Woo!
Something like that.
That's funny. That's awesome. Yeah, I don't have the perspective because I didn't come from it, where I was with a firm that, I was with firms, but that was doing New Jersey law. So I was never with one. There weren't that many then, but I think they did exist in the country. And I didn't know what they were doing and not doing. I mean, I've learned since a little bit more, but so I just had to use almost like common sense. Like, all right, I'm a solo. And like you said, you know, you're starting out with, like, I had 0 cases. So I still was
Yeah.
working on my other cases. I didn't dump anybody from New Jersey state law or anything. So that took me like 3 of those cases. And then I just didn't take anymore. So then 2005, I never took another state-based case again. Everything I took was SSD, SSI. And I was trying to figure out how to get the cases, like how to get your name out there. And I was kind of creative with that. And that's when like Google AdWords and stuff were, you know, bidding on a word like Social Security disability would cost you what your firstborn child. But how about a word like osteonecrosis? And this is a strategy. I think I told you about it. And I was like, you know, that I started looking up less common ailments. I don't even know how I stepped into it. I think doing it the regular way, I got one case and I go, you know, and I look and I'm like, God, that's cost 5 cents. Tailor my advertising to hone towards that, so that people trying to research osteonecrosis can know that a Social Security disability attorney here is saying that could be a disabling, you know, blah, blah, blah. And that took off. And that was such a great help. And then everyone started catching on, the big wigs and stuff. And they can always outprice you. So thankfully, you know, just connections and then clients, you know, referring, you know, former clients, stuff like that. And I had, you know, some lawyer friends that do other areas of work, workers' comp and stuff. And now it's just a non-issue because then that pipeline just keeps growing, right? You probably see that with your clients, right? You get a lot of,
a lot of mine do come from Google. I do come up at the top when they search representatives for Social Security around my area. And then after I get someone approved, I'll send them a Google review link and ask them to do a Google review. So that helps keep me up at the top too. And then others will come from word of mouth from my other clients or whatever. I just recently started doing some advertising on the radio, just mainly, not because it's just so people get tired of hearing my name.
But they will forget it. And your firm has a great name. I mean, just your last name is awesome. Yeah, it's very cool.